Hello and welcome to this quick run through of Burn the Heretic, the card game. There are these 4 decks of cards: the purple Heretic cards, grey Keep at Place cards, the orange Revelation cards and the brown Acolyte deck. We can put the purple Heretic cards to one side for now. We're going to start setting up the game with the grey Keep at Place cards. Put these in a line running left to right: the Keeper of Mysteries, Keeper of Sacraments, and then the first and second Keeper of Scrolls. Then from the orange Revelation deck we're going to take 4 cards showing these Acolyte characters, and Yearn, we put it partially covering up the Keeper of Mysteries. Portal, he becomes a Keeper of Sacraments. Gizzard, he's the first Keeper of Scrolls, and Mount is the second Keeper of Scrolls. Then also face up on the table from the orange Revelation deck we're going to put the card showing the correct sign to be used, which is raising your right hand with the palm forward, and the card showing the salutation, which is to say Wise One. Then finally, to complete the setup, we're going to take the orange Acolyte deck and insert 1, 2, 3, 4 into it, vaguely randomly spaced, doesn't really matter. 4 Revelation cards there, and 1 towards the bottom. And the game consists of players in turn flipping over the top card from the Acolyte deck onto a face-up pile like this, and nothing happens. We ignore every card unless it shows one of the Acolytes that is one of these keepers. So Essence, he isn't one. That's Path, she's not one. Cog, he's not one. Path again. And Mount is one. Now what needs to happen is all players should make the correct response when greeting Mount. Mount is a Keeper of Scrolls. That means you say the salutation, and the salutation is to say Wise One. So everyone tries to say Wise One quickly as possible. If anyone blunders, that's to say they start to make any other sort of response. They collect this face-up deck, which is bad. You do not want to be collecting these cards. If no one blunders, then the last player who correctly says the greeting, Wise One, collects the face-up deck. So if no one blunders and the greetings are all so close that you can't tell who was last, you can leave these face-up on the table. So those go to, let's say they were to one player who blundered or was slow, and you just carry on flipping over the cards. Helix, she's not a keeper, so you ignore Helix. Jib, ignore Jib. Portal is the Keeper of Sacraments, and Keeper of Sacraments, as it says on the grey Keep at Place card, you make the sign, and the sign is to raise your right hand with the palm forward. Again, these cards will go to the first player to blunder, and if no one blunders, then the last player to make that correct response. And we carry on flipping over the cards. Dibber, we ignore Dibber. Every so often you're going to come to one of these 4 Revelation cards that we've inserted into the deck. They're going to change how the game is played. They're going to change the responses. So in this case, this says Jib becomes a keeper. That means one of these keepers is going to get sacked and Jib will take their place. The place taken is indicated on the face-up card on the Acolyte deck. It will have a little bit of colour text. This says, why should we value your feedback? And it will come from a particular source. This says Mysteries. That tells us that Jib becomes a new Keeper of Mysteries. So we get rid of Yearn, we no longer respond to Yearn. Jib goes there. Jib is now the Keeper of Mysteries. And we carry on turning over the deck. So I almost forgot, there's one more thing we do. Every time we turn over a Revelation card in this deck, you might remember at the start of the game I showed you the purple Heretic deck. We flip over one of these purple Heretic cards, and that goes face up on the table as well. Now that tells us that Cog is condemned as a heretic. So from now on, when Cog turns face up on this deck, let's say here's Cog gets flipped over, all players must point at Cog and shout, "Burn the Heretic," again with the usual response of collecting the face-up Acolyte deck for any player who blunders or is obviously the last to make the correct response. And so we continue through the deck, turning over the cards. There's Yearn, we ignore her. Now if anyone begins to respond to Yearn, because they recall her being the Keeper of Mysteries, they blundered, they take the face-up Acolyte part. And we continue through the deck. Don't forget, each time we come to one of our Revelation cards, you change the responses according to what's on the card, and we pick a new Heretic card. until all 4 heretic cards are face up. We have 4 heretics who must be burnt when their acolyte cards come face up. Quickly to explain the types of revelation cards, there's 4 types. There's one that gives us a new keeper and sacks an old one, as we've just seen. There's ones that change the salutation. So this, at the moment, it starts as a wise one. This would change it to zealous one. That would stay face up on the table. We'd get rid of that card. We have another sort that you've seen that sort already. Sorry, that would change a keeper. And another sort is to change the sign. This would be to have both hands raised with the palm forward. We would put that face up on the table and discard the old sign. And the final sort, here's one, of revelation card, would change the position of 2 keepers here. This one swaps the keeper of mysteries with the second keeper of scrolls. So just as you're getting used to how to respond to those 2 would swap around like that. The first round ends when the acolyte deck is exhausted. Count up how many cards you collected, make a note of it. We then shuffle the acolyte cards, put another 4 revelation cards into the acolyte deck, and we continue playing the second round as before, with this change. Each time a revelation card is turned face up in the second round, we remove a heretic. A heretic has been pardoned. That means you should no longer point and shout "burn the heretic" when that card comes face up. So with each revelation card we lose a heretic until at the end of the game there will be no more heretics who should be burned. That's roughly it for the base game. There's one optional rule. There is a blank card in the acolyte deck. That's because an acolyte has escaped from the cult. If you wish, when this is turned face up, every player should point at it and shout "quitter," or indeed any other response that you agree upon at the beginning of the game. In some play testing, some quite vulgar responses have been considered suitable for that. That's an entirely matter for your choice. Now, one thing to mention, this is how you set up in the base game. For added variety, when you're setting up in later games as you're more experienced, you probably won't want to start with the same 4 keepers always on the same 4 start positions. So there's 10 cards in here showing characters that could become keepers at the start of the game. Just randomly select any 4 you want and put them in any 4 positions here. And similarly, randomly select the sign and the salutation you want at the start of the game. And that way there's hopefully infinite replayability. There's an infinite number of different combinations you can have at the start of the game, and of course, as I've shown you, when the revelation cards are drawn in the game, those combinations quickly get messed around and changed anyway, so it's very hard to get used to them. That's it, I think. Thanks very much for listening.